Hey everyone, Firecrest Gaming here. It's been a hot minute, hasn't it? I do apologise about that, but with Season of the Worthy just a few days away as I'm recording this, I figured that right now I wanted to look back on what has been the season of Destiny that I have interacted with the most, I played with the most, and overall I've just been invested in the most. Season of Dawn. Quite frankly, after Season of the Undying, we needed an improvement in this season. And did we get it? Well, that's what we're going to find out, because I'm about to sum up everything. I'm going to go through everything about the season, everything I've had from my own experience, and go from there. As a clarification, I have played pretty much everything this season has had to offer. I've been through both Sundials, Normal and Legend, all the bosses, and I have done every exotic quest, full season pass, done a whole lot. And I also have the Saviour title. So, it is time to get this on the road.
Or I will make it my duty to follow your example. I'm still trying.
Take your mind back just 2 and a bit months when Season of the Dawn was being unveiled. Saint 14 was returning, Osiris had a new story, Mercury was getting revamped. This had no reason to be bad. And as it begun, oh my god, I loved it. I really did love it. The Sundial itself was a very fun activity that felt probably as close to a 6-man menagerie style activity as we're ever going to get in Destiny without being an outright clone of it. And the story aspects of it having to repair time and the Scions themselves infiltrating the Sundial and us needing to save Saint 14 was a very interesting tale in and of itself. And quite frankly, just Saint to me was such a fun little character that they always had on the side. That event now bringing him to life was incredible, and it paid off in spades. He has easily become one of my most favourite characters who we still have in Destiny. Rest in peace, Cade. Just the beginning of the season was amazing. There was a ton of build-up. There was a ton of potential. There was so much that we had that had no reason to fail at all. And it just kept getting better in the next week. We finally saved in the first week, we saved Saint 14... Well, we saw Saint 14 for the first time, sorry. And we actually got to see him in the middle of a mission against the Fallen, in which we gave him his notorious weapon, the Perfect Paradox. And then the week following, we find him in his final moments as he gets captured by Vex and taken away. And we are the ones to save him from then to it. Doesn't stop Saint from being a badass, though.
I can feel the light in my bones. Martyrmite, time to die.
And again.
A few more years of fighting Vax.
And yeah, you get the picture. Saint is an awesome character. He is just amazing, and he is easily the best thing about Season of Dawn. And just all of this was going on in the early season, and there was still so much more potential. We were just thinking, what on earth could possibly follow this? What could be better? What could top this? Well, not much. I've got to say that, sadly, this was probably the high point of the season. It's all fresh, everyone's grinding for new ritual pinnacle weapons, going for titles, experiencing everything for the first time. It was the high point. And not that everything else was awful in the season, by no means. I still enjoyed the rest of the content to a point. But, well, I'll get onto that later. But as of now, the beginning of the season was very interesting. It was just so much fun to do, and I couldn't wait to go further. And quite frankly, Saint 14, badass of all time. I absolutely love it. Alright, back to imagination time, people. So I know I skipped a little bit, and there's going to be a little bit more skipped in a second. But bear with me, because I'm going to try and sum everything up. So, Here we are at the midway point of Season of Dawn. What on earth has happened in the meantime? Not much. If I'm honest, not much happened. We got the new obelisks on, I believe, Nessus and the EDZ. I may be wrong. You can correct me on that if you'd like. But other than that, not much happened. And then I remember on the 14th of January, 2 weeks before we were supposed to get the exotic quest for the weapon Bastion, Osiris pops up with a brand new quest. And this one is, apparently, we need to, quote, explore the corridors of time. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And it was the most vague thing when I first came onto it, because, as you can see, I came here with my friend Lita Smasher. Me and him had no idea what we were doing. We had no idea what was in the endless void of the corridors. We had to go and search for it. And off we went. We went through this for probably about... how long? We were probably here for hours, generally. Looking through the place, trying to find if there was anything special. And from where we were sitting, we couldn't see anything. And so eventually, I had to resort to our old friend Google, and I saw that the obelisks were creating patterns on them, and we had to follow those patterns to get lore pages. And all these pages were, in the grand scheme of things, useless, unless you wanted to be a lore person or get a special emblem. That's it. What this was truly setting up was a grand old puzzle in the entirety of Destiny. I feel like this whole season with the Imperium Foundation I'll talk about later, and this, put together, they wanted to create a giant community pretty much of all of this, and they wanted everyone to come together and do it. But sadly, I think Corridors of Time wasn't perfect with the way they did it because of how vague it was. It was basically, you need a teacher to do this, and then they need you to help you along with this. So how did the puzzle work? So there was combinations, 20 in total, that we needed to follow to get to the end of the Time Lost Vault. Once we reached the Time Lost Vault, we press Inspect and get either one of 19 lore pages or an emblem. When we look down below, a symbol would appear on many hexagons down below. They would create a bit of what you could say a path, and that path was supposed to lead us to the true end of the Corridors of Time, where, well, if we saw what happened, you saw what happened at the end. Well, it was very interesting. If you haven't seen what it is, then it's not going to be spoiled in this video, and I'm not going to spoil it for you right now. But back onto the point. This quest in the end gave us what was called a chromatic weapon core, and when we delivered it to Saint 14, we would get the exotic weapon Bastion that was scheduled for a week later. I don't know, guys. It was very interesting, the puzzle itself. Like, it was really fun to be around and see this all unfold. That I got to be there while this was all being unravelled and how we found it. But you gotta say, you can't at least feel a little bit disappointed after seeing a raised lighted Dark Drinker or Boltcaster on the top of our Guardian's grave, and what we got out of it in return was nothing other than a weapon that was already scheduled for later in the season. That was the big old disappointment of it. And I'm not alone in thinking that it was a disappointment. And not to mention that we just had the Devil's Ruin quest, which... don't get me started. A quest that could have been done in 10 minutes, that all it had to offer was probably some of the funniest dialogue in the game, admittedly, but when your dialogue and your characters interacting is better than the exotic weapon you are going for that may as well just be a quest for a special legendary weapon... this was... this is the part where the season starts to unravel. So we ended up doing the exotic Bastion quest, getting the weapon, and maybe changing our fate so we don't get downed by another random fallen captain. I mean, I swear, if you've played it, how the hell did that guy be our killer? That made no sense. We should have taken him down easily. It's just ridiculous. I was honestly just a little bit. I was feeling down at this point. I was feeling like, what's going to happen with this season? Is it just going downhill? Is this going to be how it goes the rest of the season? Well, for a while, the main problem was just that nothing happened. After the whole Bastion debacle and fiasco, I guess you could say, there was nothing for a good couple of weeks. That is until we reached the home stretch with Inatam and the Empyrean Foundation. So this is what the season has been building up to. The final showdown between the true Scion Flayer, Inatam, Oblivion's Triune, specifically named because it decides to combine every single attack from all the bosses. And boy, did it feel like it. If we had a new boss like this every single week, it would have made the Sundial truly amazing. Sadly, we only got one of them, but better late than never, and they really did show off everything in this moment. It was quite a lot of fun, quite frustrating. It's a little bit of both. Who knows? But you know what? I enjoyed it. But getting on to the main points at hand. What did I actually... I suppose, thinking of the Sundial as a whole, it's still good. I still like the Sundial, it just got a little bit repetitive. And Inatam on Legend difficulty, oh my god. It was a nightmare. Combining all three of the powerful attacks that could be comboed into one, like the Void attack that stops you from moving anywhere, and the Arc attack that decides to land on top of you, it is horrific. It really is. It can be an absolute pain sometimes. Luckily, it's still very much doable, and fair question mark? That's a question mark on that one. But it's very much doable. So what did all this lead up to? Well, the quest for Inatam led up to what was called the Empyrean Foundation. And the Foundation itself was pretty much a place where everyone could donate their hard-earned Fractaline to reach a goal of some kind. And this goal was still unknown to us at the time, although most people speculated it would be Trials. And then at that point, everyone was donating and investing and trying everything they could to get the numbers up and try and get us to the next stages that were set. Up to a grand total of 9,777,777,700. Lots of sevens. But the point is that we go through all that, going through 2 weeks worth of work, and eventually we do unlock it in the end. And what did it unlock? The Lighthouse on Mercury and the seeming return of Trials of Osiris. And you know what? I'm happy about that. Because it's so cool to see Bungie themselves returning old game modes to Destiny, even if maybe it still needs some work. But you know what? I don't mind, because PvP isn't perfect, but nothing's perfect. And yeah, the same goes here. PvP can still be fun, and I think with Trials, it'll be good. I can't say the same for PC, though. But moving on to the point. What was wrong with this, exactly? Well, here's one of the problems that I had. After killing Inatam and donating a little bit to the Foundation, I assumed that we'd be able to get the Saviour title at that point. But no. If you wanted Saviour, which I do have now, that was in the beginning, you had to wait until the entirety of the Foundation was complete and the beacon was lit. And personally, I felt a little cheated. I'm not going to lie. I honestly felt like we all should have, after all the work, not had to just play a long waiting game of waiting for the title to be completed for us by everyone. And personally, I wasn't a fan of it. I don't feel like it should have been that way. But, regardless of what happened, eventually we all donated the 9.7 billion. We all got our Saviour titles if we'd worked for them. And yeah, that was it really for Season 4. There was nothing after that. 2 exotic quests, 1 menagerie copy, 1 returning character with a bunch of quests added onto him, and that was it. It's sad to say, but Season of Dawn, really, if anything, feels like a setup. It feels like the wind-up before the pitch. And that pitch being Trials. And it's not to say that Trials is the only thing next season, because there's going to be a whole batch of new PvE content, and it looks like it's going to be pretty fun and quite interesting. But when I think of Season of Dawn, I'm just going to think of a filler season. I'm going to think of a season that was just there to set everything up, as I said. And even if setup is a thing that needed to be done, it doesn't make that season amazing. I mean, it's not bad. It's not good. It's just kind of lacking, empty, one of those words. And sadly, when that happens, that season becomes forgettable. Because even with Season of the Undying, it was almost comically bad for how awful it ended, because we were all waiting for the giant end to the Vex offensive, and all we got was a Destiny 1 strike boss back instead of the actual final boss that we had at the time. At least there, the exotic quests were great, and we had Shadowkeep and a new raid. There was so much last season. Obviously, they're not going to implement a new raid every single season, but, you know, would it kill them to add a little bit more in between? Because it just felt barren in the middle of all of it. It felt, not also considering that if you wanted to make a ton of Fractaline, all you had to do was do a bunch of the normal activities, which, personally, I want to do new stuff. I don't want to have to continue doing the old stuff to do the new stuff, you know? I mean, don't even get me started on having to do PvP continuously for normal story quests and exotic quests. That's a whole other story. I hate doing that. But it's time to look forward to the future. What does Season of the Worthy have in store for us, and what do I think it's going to be like? So honestly, there's not really much I can say going forward because, well, there just hasn't been much revealed. Because we're still just really... It's just speculation and waiting for Season of the Worthy. But I really do hope that it is as good as we think it is. That we just get the best that we can out of the game, that from PvP and a PvE standpoint. But in terms of Season of Dawn, okay, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, it was a good season. But it being a filler season, it already let it down a little bit. And then this season in particular, I did so much to get the Savior title. I went through numerous pinnacle weapons. I played Comp for the first time. Me and my friends went through Last Wish. I've been through Garden of Salvation, Leviathan, Scourge of the Past, Crown of Sorrow. I'd literally pretty much opened Destiny as a book and went through every single page this season. And sadly, when you go through all those and all the previous experiences and the previous, other things you do outweigh the new content, then that's just not good enough, you know? You have to hope that new content will grab you more than old content. And obviously, no raid means no... Obviously, you're going to want to go back and do previous raids when there isn't one here. But even still, all the other stuff. I just wanted to do that a lot of the time over the Season of Dawn stuff. So that was a shame, but we can only hope that going into the future, this beacon of light is going to be a new heart for Destiny. And going forward, the Season of the Worthy is truly going to bring it all back. And really, I can only hope so, because I still love Destiny, and I want it to succeed. Here is to Season of the Worthy, to Trials of Osiris, to the everything that will come back. Good luck, Destiny, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care, everyone, and goodbye.